Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, review, walkthrough, whatever you guys want to call it. My name is Roland and I'm here to show you guys a car that is exciting, it's full of tech and is the new cool kid on the block because it's had a recent price cut. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the ZEEKR X all-wheel drive. Look at that. Hold on a minute, I don't think I can fit in that one. Just wait a moment, let's try something different. Alright, we've seen this stuff happen on social media, so let's give it a go and see what happens. Look at that. It worked. Look at it. Guys, this is the ZEEKR X in all-wheel drive. Alrighty, how was that for the introduction? Did you guys enjoy that one? I sure had fun making that one. Okay, so let me tell you guys about the ZEEKR X. So first of all, this is, I guess they say this is a small SUV, but I think it's more like, it's more of a hatchback type shape. So in terms of space, it definitely fits the hatchback type shape, with exception that because it's an EV, you do get a little bit more space. Now, as I said, size here is 4.4 meters. In terms of competitors, you're looking at EV3 size, you're looking at smart hashtag 1 or 3, and then this car is actually on the same platform as the Volvo EX30. So if you guys are after that type of size vehicle, then this is something to absolutely consider. And so you guys know what type of car you'd be competing with. Now in this trim, this all drive trim, it is now $62,990 plus on-road costs. There is also the entry level, which is just rear-wheel drive, which starts at $49,900. So just under $50,000 and just under $63,000 plus on-road costs. Now, bear in mind that they've recently had a price drop. So this top spec all-wheel drive actually has dropped $2,000 off the retail price, and it's dropped $7,000 off the rear-wheel drive. So guys, that is a significant discount. And as we go through, I'll make sure that I do cover off the section that covers all of the differences between the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive. And I might step a little bit further out, as you can hear the cars getting a bit confused between how close the key is in terms of the proximity. So that probably gives you guys a distance. I'm probably about 2.5–3 meters away from the car, and that's when it sends the key to kind of start the whole startup sequence for the vehicle to welcome me to the car. Alright, let me talk you through the car itself and the whole design. So as I said, it's a small SUV slash hatchback type vehicle. So really unique headlights at the front. I absolutely love the design of this car. This here, what you see here is really cool funky headlights. So that's the LED daytime running lights. The headlights itself is down over here, this section here. Tow hook, I believe, is that one there. Then you've got parking sensors across with your camera right there just underneath the front. There you go. And also just finishing up on the front, you'll see that down the sides you've actually got straight through air ducts that actually work for aerodynamics and efficiency right through there. Now swinging around through to the side, you'll see the 20-inch wheels over here. So these are forged alloys, so just a different process in terms of making the wheels, so they are definitely lighter. And in terms of size, they are 245, 45, 20. So 19-inch on the base entry level, and this is 20-inch here. Let's zoom out and look at the rest of the side. So you can see this car has a very unique design in terms of having very sharp lines that come across over here, which makes it sort of like cutting it like a triangle. So I'll try hold it up closer at a different angle so you guys can see. I think it breaks up the body panel like pretty good. What else do we have? So on the side over here, you'll also see the 360 camera, or the side camera for the 360. And then in terms of the side mirror itself, it is like your typical Volvo Polestar type look. It is frameless. Looks really nice. And then of course you got right here lane departure. Hopefully you can see that right there. Now jumping further back, so you also notice that the handles pop in and they don't pop out when you need to open the door. And then otherwise on here you'll see a lot of gloss black along the bottom, actually across the actual guards, down the bottom here, and then at the top over here as well. You'll notice there is no tints, no privacy windows at the back, so it's something that I would have hoped to see. But regardless, you definitely should get that in the Australian heat. Definitely something I recommend. Other than that, jumping through to the side, you've got the charge port over here. Now this is a manual release, so you see here push, so you've got to push that and then it pops out probably about 3/4 of the way. You'll still need to pull it the rest of the way out, and it is not electronic at all, so it doesn't actually go all the way in by itself, and there's no button inside as well. Anyways, besides that, you've got LED light here which indicates status, so it's just white at the moment. Unfortunately it doesn't really show any indication or give you any indication of what percentage your battery is at from here, but it does change color based on whether or not it's connected and charging or not. Anyways, this is the CCS2 port, so top one out and then the bottom one out, so type 2, and then the whole thing is your CCS2 port, DC down the bottom. So more on charging later, but that is the charge port. And then let's swing around to the back. So guys, this is the back of the ZEEKR X. Now at night, the badging of the brand actually lights up, but unfortunately due to ADR rules, we don't have that lighting up here in Australia. So the only thing you can see here is X at the back and ZEEKR lighting clear, whatever material that is at the top over there. You'll see that based on the curves of the car, it really does stick out this bit over here, and that's where they put the camera so that you get the clearest view down the bottom over here. Now your button for the boot is actually right there, so quite convenient, easy to access. And so you've got a really small windscreen wiper on the back. Now it is a small window, so you know, at least you have one, which is still useful. Now other things in the back that you can clearly see, you can see the a lot more gloss black down the bottom over here, and you've got all your parking sensors, and then down the bottom what looks like, I guess, a rear diffuser right there. And I'll hold it a bit lower so you guys can see the entire thing. And so I'm going to cue some music. I'll do a walk around, silent walk around with some music, just so you guys can see and admire the car's designs and lights. So let's go. Alright, now you've seen the external of the car, let's look at the key. So here is the key. There's basically 4 buttons on it, lock and unlock on the left and right of what you see in the video here. Then you've got on the other sides, that looks like it's a park forward backwards. Not too sure how that one specifically works, but you can move forward backwards apparently. And then that one here is to open up the boot. Nothing on the back besides the ZEEKR logo itself. And so besides this, all you get as a second key is not one of these. You actually do get, from what I've read, a key card. So similar to Tesla, it's just a card that you can use to activate and tap the NFC for the car to get the car activated. You can apparently also use your phone app as well, which I do not have connected as this is a media or press car. But that's basically how you access the car. Okay, let's check out the car. So we walk up to it. In the all-wheel drive spec, you've got a smart B pillar. So you'll see that this folds, you'll see that. It's got a little face that welcomes you. It also shows some other stats when you're charging as well, but more on that later. But this little face is kind of nice. It's only on the all-wheel drive spec as well. So yeah, as I said, when you unlock and it walks up, that goes on. These fold in, as you can see, like that. And then the mirror over here also unfolds. Now over here, if you want to actually unlock this car and the key's not working or it's low battery, you do have to physically push into that. It doesn't push all the way in, it still stays out, but you push that and then it locks and unlocks for you. Anyways, in terms of unlocking the car and getting in the car, actually you just need to put your hand right here and it's a touch. You just touch it and that's it. You don't need to pull hard on a latch or anything at all. And yeah, that's it. Right, let's look at the boot. So button over here. So this is basically the boot. So you don't have the strings that usually come as a part of the car to hold this up as you open the boot. You do have this bit, so if I need to yank it hard just to show you guys, you can remove it, so you get a little bit more boot space. And actually, very clever design. So see this Velcro strap right here? See this Velcro strap right here? You can actually put this like that, attach it on, and it's going to hold there. So then you can still use all your boot. You can make the maximum use of, I guess, the vertical space between here and over here as well. And yeah. So anyways, this is the boot space. I'm going to put this up just so I can show you how much space there is overall with it closed. So it clicks into place into these two spots over here. And so basically that's what we're working with. Now, I did do shopping because I did use this as a daily. So I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to cut through to show you guys how much groceries we have and how much you can actually store in this car. And then we'll come back. Alright, so if you're wondering how much you can store in the boot of a ZEEKR X, here you guys go. So I packed 4 bags, 3 of these reusable bags, and you can fit 1 more here. Might squeeze in a little bit more space. Could shove that one in there. So hopefully that gives you guys the perspective for how much space you can put in there. So you could put another one here, so you could put a couple more across here. So I'd say about 7 to 8 bags is probably your limit. Now you know. Okay, so you've got an idea of how much storage or how much shopping you can put into here. Let's look at the rest of the boot. So when we lift this up, that's the space that we're working with. So thin space over here, not too much. You've got triangle marker right there for safety. You've got a vest over here, and then you've got your ZEEKR, I believe, maybe instruction manual book and whatnot over here. Other than that, I think you can pretty much just put cables here if you want. But you do have, you don't have V2L in here. This car does have V2L capability. You've got 1 LED light. You've got your tie points, so 4 hooks included, or 4 loops on each side or each corner over here. And that's basically it for the boot. So I'll put that down, and let me show you guys the frunk. Alright, so for the frunk down here, pull it twice. You'll hear it open. Here we are. And you just need to lift it up. There's no additional latch. So here is the frunk. So it's got this storage bag. So that's how much storage we're talking about. Is that a shopping bag? Absolutely not. You'd fit a couple of drink bottles in there, and that's probably the most. You could squeeze in a cable if you've got it in a nice bag like this. Otherwise you'd potentially struggle as well. So let me open it and I'll show you guys what we've got in here. So there you go, strap. You can put miscellaneous stuff in there. And then this here is your slow charger, your type 2 AC charger. So you see here, mini EV charger. And let's see if we can see the specs. Rated current, so maximum 8 amps. So there you guys have it. It's on the slower side, but even then, look at the portability. You know that no matter what, you've got this in the frunk. You're always good to go. Even as a top-up charge overnight at a cheap hotel, motel, you name it. And there you go. So they've hidden all of the other electrics underneath. They've hidden it all very well. Alright, let's have a look at the inside. So, this is the door. Now remember the colour, so this colour is mulberry and rose. So this here again is sort of like the off-white type colour. It is on the softer side in terms of touch. Here is the electronic door handle, or the door latch, I guess. So if you want to get in the car, it's just pushing that button right there. You've got speaker, and then you've got light up silhouette right here. So whenever you play music or at night, you can set ambient lighting. That all lights up over there. So I'll do a video overlay to show you guys what I'm talking about the lighting on the inside. Now also, one thing to note is this car also has inverted settings for your window. So what I mean by that is, if I hold this camera out, normally you'd think you pull down and the window goes down, but if I pull down, nothing happens. So look at this, I pull up, that's what happens. So might be something that we'd have to get used to, because I saw this in the Deeport S07 as well. And anyways, here is the rest of the storage on the side, and then you've got your manual release, emergency release right here. Alright, so let's have a look at the seats. So you can see really nice thick headrest cushioning over here. This doesn't look like it's adjustable. I've tried to adjust it, I couldn't adjust it. I don't see a button anywhere, so I presume that's not adjustable. And you can see as I move down, this is how supportive the seats are. So I found them to be quite comfortable. They are on the softer side in terms of how thick or how tough the foam is. And how's the comfort? I personally think they are very, very good. It's not soft to the point that you feel like it's an absolute boat, and it's not stiff to the point where you just feel like you're sitting on hard surface. And because these have holes over here, these definitely are the ones that also have cooling and heating as well. So remember, in the entry level, it is an option to get it as a part of the convenience package, and more on that later. But at this point in time, in this one, you do get that included as well. So there's the seats. And then jumping down to the side, you've got your lumbar controls over here, which is for that section there. And then you've just got forward, backward, you've got tilt over here, and then you can only go up like that. There is no tilt for the front, it's really just tilt from the back to go in and up and down. And is there storage over here? No, there is not. Okay, we're now in the car. So first thing you'll notice is the car is already on. So this is similar to what Tesla have done, meaning car is always on. There is no button anywhere to turn on or off the car. It's just always on. So let me give you the details of the steering wheel, then we'll kind of pan around and I'll show you the rest of the interior from the front. So starting off with the whole steering wheel column area. So over here is your gear shifter. Pulling down once is cruise control, pulling down twice, or active cruise control or radar cruise control, and then twice is the autonomous driving. We will test that a bit later, so just jump forward to that section if you're interested in that. And then you've got P for park, which is just this button over here. Finishing up on the other side, so over here you've got your indicator, high beams, then this scroll thing over here, that is for your windscreen wiper at the rear, and then this here, when you twist it, is for your windscreen wiper at the front. Okay, and next we've got this little dash display. So what do you guys see here? So you see the speed you're going at, the gear, the remaining kilometers over here. You see your car that rotates around there, and then you've got details on since last charge and some of the general details around distance, consumption, etc., along with the temperature and the time. Then on the steering wheel, and we'll jump back to the rest of the settings there in a moment because I need to show you the steering wheel. The steering wheel over here, what's visible here is, I guess, four things. You've got speaker here for smart assistance or the ZEEKR Assistant. You've got this here, which it's actually just like a D-pad. So you can go left, right, up, down. You can move it around in circles as well. And you can also push in. Same thing with this one over here. This side is to control everything to do with your cruise control. So once you've set your cruise control, if you flick this up and or down, it goes up and down in increments of 5 kilometers. If you just hold up slowly or you do a quick flick, that goes up and down in 1 kilometer increments as well. So you have the option of moving up faster or slower. And then in terms of distance, it's left or right. And what I mean by that is distance between cars. So like one car distance as an example. On this side, this is your music controls. So if you flick up and down, that's your volume up and down. And then you flick left and right, then that's changing the music. So going back and forth. And then this button here is to switch the menu over here. So I'll hold it like that so you can kind of see both. So if I push that once, you'll see it switches to music. Switch it again, it goes to aircon settings, so you can go plus minus. So you use these controls here to control that. So if I want to go more aircon, high aircon fan, I'll just push up like that, or the temperature, sorry. and that brings up and down the temperature. And then if I want the fan higher or lower, I just push the left and the right, as you can see here. And if I push it again, it just comes back to here. So there's no other details that you can see from what I've experienced. And yeah, that's about it. Now, on the rest of the steering wheel side of things, this car actually has 2 additional buttons, and I'll show you the settings for it a bit later when we cover it off. But it's actually very uniquely placed. So you can't control, there's no paddles like your traditional wheels. So I'll show you guys again. So there's no paddles here to control regen, but you actually do have a button here, and you've got a button on this side. So you can't map that to absolutely anything you want, but there are a couple of features that you can map the buttons to, which I think is kind of cool. Might be more of a gimmick, but it is something that you can do. So more on that later. Alright, and other than that, you do also have a heads-up display in this car. This is again unique to the all drive model only, and hopefully you can see roughly there, you'll see P. So you do have a couple of things that you can see in the heads-up display. It is augmented reality display too, but only if you're using the actual ZEEKR navigation, which isn't amazing compared to the likes of Waze or Google Maps, but I'll show you guys in a moment anyway. Alright, and on the rest of the interior, so you'll see Yamaha sound system. Very nice. All around the car, plenty of speakers. I think it's about 18 speaker systems, and it works pretty well. Quite loud, quite bassy, quite punchy, but you do have to play the music quite loud to actually get the full experience. You'll also notice a little whale there. I actually don't know what the whale is for, but if you guys know, please let me know, because I thought that was pretty funky seeing that. And then again, Yamaha over here. Alright, and on the rest of the interior, what do we have? So remember, this is the mulberry and rose interior color, so you'll see that there is this whole 2-tone Alcantara rose type color, looking very nice. But over here, rear vision auto dimming mirror. It is quite limited space, as you guys can see through that. You really don't have much visibility at all, and if that's not clear enough, I'm just going to flip the camera around so you guys can see, and there's a car driving past, so you can really understand how much visibility you really have, or lack thereof. Up the top over here, you've got LED light. Now this one here actually lights up really nicely at night. It lights up the car pretty well, and it's not crazy bright in terms of hurting your eyes at a certain point, because it's a whole LED bar that goes around. Close that off, and then you've got your usual service or hazard lights right there. Over here, they've done one thing well. This is a massive mirror. Look at that. You've got yourself in widescreen. Hey, 2 LED lights there. This one, pull over here. Can you pull it out? No, you can't. This one does not extend further out. So it's not too bad though, because at the end of the day, it's a small car. You're only missing on that much. And if you're driving, you're most likely already pretty much covered anyway. So that there, and it's the same for this one as well. You get to see yourself in widescreen. Okay, so on the rest of the car here. So unfortunately, there is no glove box at all in this car. However, some of the other stuff you have. So you've got 2 USB-C charging ports. You've got 60 watt over here, 27 watt over here. Now, this bit here, supposedly it's actually for a handbag. I don't know how big your handbag really is, but I mean, I don't feel like you could hang much. I feel like the perfect thing to hang here, honestly, is a pork roll or a kebab. You could even open this up and have it hold in here. See? Anyways, besides this here, what else do you get? So you've got this whole center console section here. So I'm just going to move the camera down. So this section here is actually entirely removable. Now, this here is for your phone charger. So you just slot it in and then it charges over here, and look at that. Hopefully you can see it there. 50 watts charging. Now for your iPhone users, your maximum capped for Qi 2 charging, I believe, at 15 watts anyway. So it'd really be for your Android users, but 50 watts, and it looks like it's cooling here too. Okay, so enough of this section here. You can pull this all the way up. Now, if you move this bit up, it first of all looks weird, but when you're driving, it also does knock onto it. And let me ask you guys, do you feel that this looks like a thumb? And down here, you've got this thing here, which supposedly is a coffee cup holder or a bottle holder. So this is a normal size. Now it goes in, it's pretty tight. So realistically, like if this is here, down here, and I'm trying to get my bottle, this is real world example, guys. Like, it gets a little bit difficult, and I end up taking out the whole thing. And the reason why is because, I'll move this out of the way. It is because, see, I'm genuinely struggling. I'm gonna have to put the camera down to actually get this out. Alright, that was a mission, but it's because of these teeth over here. They are silicone type, and it just makes it a really tight fit. Anyways, you can move it down over here, which means your bottle holder is over here, and then you've still got this space. So again, I'm not going to put it all the way in, but I will show you guys. So you can sit it there, and it sits here, but it does sit here loosely. For people with bigger drink bottles, you are going to be upset because no go and also no go. So you will have to actually close that. Now, in terms of how much interior space there is here, that's how much more space there is. Hopefully you can see that. But basically it just stops literally right here. So I can put my bottle here like that, but that then starts to knock like that. So guys, anyone with a bigger drink bottle, you are not going to be too happy, unfortunately. And then, as there's no glove box, they do have this thing though. This covers all the way through. So that's actually quite a nice touch. So closing out of this, and also this thing you can actually remove, believe it or not, and you can replace it with a fridge, which is roughly $1,100 something. I'll put the exact figure on screen. I did reach out to ZEEKR to ask, and this is removable, and you can get that done. So yeah, that's basically everything in the front. Let's jump to the back, and I'll show you guys how much space there is. But before that, I do have kid seats installed, so I want to take the time to show you guys how much space you have before I remove a seat to show you guys how much space you'll have as an adult sitting in the back. So skip forward ahead if you don't care about kid seats, or stay watching if you do have kid seats in your car. So let's go. Okay, so first of all, I'm just adjusting the car seat in the driver's position to how I would sit, and I'm going to make sure that it doesn't move back due to memory seating, so I can show you how much space the kids actually have when you're in the car. So I'm in this position now, so let me show you the back. So from this angle, this is my wide angle lens. These are what the two kid seats look like in the car. So yes, it does protrude past the middle seat. So my honest view is you will not get someone in the middle seat as a fifth person in the car. In terms of space for the child, I'll actually I'll open the back door to show you guys, but I just figured I'd show you guys from this angle so you can kind of work out how much space you have when you install the seats in the middle. So yeah, that's essentially it. All right, let's open the rear and I'll show you guys. Okay, so this is basically my seating position at roughly 172 centimeters with two kid seats in. So that one there's obviously just a little bit further back, but that should give you guys a rough idea of how much space there is with kid seats. So you can see this, kids will still have a lot of headroom. There's no issues there, and I think with the glass it does kind of open up the interior a little bit. The one thing I found odd is, you know, you've got just this one side over here. Now it's the same side on that one as well. It's all opening like this, but I don't feel like you could really put anything. Like you can't fold, I mean you can fold up paper and stuff, but like you'd really need to get something over here. I genuinely don't know what you'd put here. Maybe besides a cable. And that's about it. But yeah, you'll see that this car does have a little bit of a bulge over here for the floor, so it's not entirely flat. And I'm just moving my camera here so you guys can see what I mean. So not entirely flat over here, and you do have a USB-C connection right here. So no V2L on the inside, but you've got almost a flat floor, and you've got a USB-C charging port there. Shame I would have liked to see two there, because you know you'd probably have two passengers, and yeah, I guess they can fight over it. And then this over here is really just a latch to remove that whole middle section to switch it out for the fridge. So as I said, it was $1,100 something, and yeah, that's pretty much the inside. Other than that, you've got your clothing hook up the top over here, coat hanger hook, and then you've got a LED light, which is really bright. And then we've got another hook up over here, and then you've got air vent over here, which you can control here, up, down, left, right. And then coming out to the door this time, you've got your Yamaha speakers around. Same thing in terms of opening and closing the window. You can't unfortunately put it all the way down as well on this one. And then you've got your button here to open the door. And then in terms of emergency, you've got to look down here. Hopefully you guys can see, where is it? Right here. So this here, if you pull down, that is your emergency latch to open this door in case the car is dead or anything like that. And then last thing on the door as well, you'll find that in terms of the design, this sits really high. So you can see that's your usual line, and it comes up all the way here. So it's something that you'll probably have to get used to because it's really high up. And then whilst we're on the topic of the whole doors, these are single pane, and this also here is single pane. Let's get in the car. So remember, this seating here is, for me at the front, my driver's position. So I'm 172. I can get my feet in here underneath okay, but the top of my feet is definitely touching the bottom of the chair already. Look, long distance, if I can sit kind of like this, I'm somewhat okay. It's not the most comfortable if I have to just keep it like this, but you know, since there's no one in the middle, I can kind of open my legs up like this, so it's actually a little bit more comfortable. But you are a little bit more restricted because this is a smaller car, don't forget. Now let's look around at how much more space I have. So right now, realistically, am I comfortable? You guys probably just care about looking at me to give you guys the view. So remember, fairly big guy. Am I quite comfortable? Yes. How much roof space? 1.5 to 2 fists that I reckon I could fit. Over here, I'm not banging my head, so it's not cramped to that extent, like I'm really leaning across to do that. This side, yeah, it's okay. So I can feel, so see where the seat belts are here? That's pretty much where I can feel the cushioning on my back shoulders. So if I move out of that, you guys will see this bit here. See how that kind of indents in right here? That's where my back's going in, and my shoulders are kind of, it's pushing on my shoulder right there. But it's still quite comfortable. And in terms of the rest of the space, so I'll flip this around. This is what you guys can see. You've got 2 cup holders over here as well. There is no push through, pass through at all for this one, but it is a 60-40 fold to pull the seats totally down over here. So at least you can do that. And actually, on that note, let me show you guys. Alright, so all it was just to pull this, and the whole seat drops down. I've got the top tray cover up there over here at the moment because I've got the kids seat there just to show you guys. But that's pretty much all the space that you guys can have if you needed all of that. So that's probably the IKEA trip, most likely, or Bunnings. Another view of how much boot space there is in the car. If you ever have to put a kid's seat in the boot, you could probably put 1. You might get away with 2 if this can fold on both seats, and you can fit this section on the other end like a L shape like that. But otherwise, that's probably giving you guys the view of how much space there is. So if I hold this camera and I adjust it like this, that's how much extra space you've got over here. So it is quite limited, but for small families, definitely okay and doable. Alrighty, let's have a look at trip planning. So there's a couple of things down here, which is around how you can position your GPS. So this is the stock navigation. P, I believe, looks for closest parking around here. So let's see if that works. Set no parking nearby. Then this one here should be charging station. And it's good because for some of these it actually tells you availability. Tesla one, that's non-public, so that's fine. So yeah, for some of these it actually does tell you availability, which is really good. Now you can also switch between how quick, so we want the fastest charges, leave that on 3 lightning bolts, and you can see quite a few ChargeFox Tesla ones as well, and NRMA ones as well, but you can't see availability on the Tesla ones here, and you can't see it on the NRMA ones, but it's good that you can actually start to see ChargeFox and EV. Now the big test is trip planning. How are we going? Okay, Fortitude Valley, yep, let's go there, up to Queensland. So first things first, fantastic that with the stock GPS or the stock maps it tells you battery level is not sufficient to drive here. So let's actually just go and hit this car icon and see what happens.
Please follow actual traffic regulations. Smart sharing route planning has been completed.
Okay, so oh, look at that. It said a charging destination is added onto the route. And I don't know if you guys can see this here. I'm just going to hold my screen, hold my hand here slowly. Hopefully you can see that's the augmented reality heads-up display. So it's showing you what direction you need to head. Okay, so whilst the trip planning seems to have noticed that I will have insufficient charge to get there, I don't think it's 100% foolproof. And so at the moment it's saying my next destination is 5 hours 12 minutes away. 0% though. So I'm not going to get there. I can't do 500 kilometers in this car. Like at the moment, the car state of charge is 50%, and it's saying here 207. And I'm definitely not getting 207 kilometers out of that. So, oh, and it's saying 0 to, I'm not too sure why it's saying minus 95%. And then it's showing Tesla here 665 k's away. Is it minus 137? Unless that's supposed to mean, yeah, I don't know what that means, because then over here you've got the positive 15%. And then it says I'll get there at 14%. So I'm really confused as to how this is working. But having said that, perhaps these are rest areas or something that it's asking me to select. So if I click that one here, nope, I can't even click that one. So I'll stop there, guys, because I actually don't understand how that works. It seems to have, it's not letting me select basically the additional charges. So, and it's showing minus 95% in some instances, minus another one, and then it shows a positive figure elsewhere. I actually don't know, so I don't think they've mastered this yet. However, as I said, it is a step ahead of some of the other brands because it does actually at least recognize, and it doesn't just navigate there. So there you have it. So we're still going to have to stick to, I guess, Google Maps, Waze, whatever it is, and you're going to have to do your trip planning there. At least from a Google Maps side of things, you can navigate to charges a lot quicker. It's just something you guys need to pay attention to at this point in time because it's not fully integrated like a Tesla. Okay, so we are in a tighter car parking area at the moment. So if I open up the 360 camera, what I'm demonstrating to you guys now is just how good or bad the cameras are. So this is obviously the front cameras. And you can also see the 360 camera around. So with this one, you can go have a look at the rear. You can have a look at the front. You can also look wide angle rear. And you can also have wide angle front. Then you've also got the 3D view, which you can kind of twist and rotate around. And what we want to do now is look at the Autopark. So I've pushed Autopark and it's pull in. So obviously it starts to search for some spots. Now I don't know how far we're supposed to be, but okay, so it's not too bad. It seems to have detected some spots up there before. So drive around to the other side and let's see if we can get in a spot automatically, and we'll see how good this car's auto park is. Alright, so it's clearly seen 2 spots over here. So this is the blue one I said we wanted to park next to. So it says you may choose a different spot. So here, because it's identified 2, we can choose either of the 2. I want this one here, so let's go start parking. And I'm going to be hands off and we'll see how we go. And I've got my foot on the brake ready to smack it to a stop if I need to. So far over here it hasn't exceeded the line, so it's done pretty well even if there is no car there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I'll open up the panoramic view and we'll go into 3D. And this is actually a fairly accurate representation. So I like that. That's good. Okay, time to pull out and see how this goes. So hit that to start. Oh, that's it. Okay, so I guess pull out isn't actually pulling out left or right direction. It actually just literally drives out for you. So guys, there you have it. That's pretty much the pull in, pull out, parking, auto park features. That's the cameras. The other cool thing is with regards to the cameras is, if I show you again here, so when you're looking at this one here, it actually shows you, if you were to open the door, how far out you're going to open. So I can tell clearly now that there's a car parked here and there's a car parked here, that if I'm actually opening the door, it's going to hit those cars. But yeah, what do you guys think? How's the quality? Good? Do you like it? Do you not? Alright, let's have a look at charging. So car is actually currently sitting at 80%, which says up here, which means I can do 335 kilometers, which is WLTC cycle, not WLTP. In terms of charging, so in the car settings and charging and V2L, you can see that it says 50 to 100%. Car is at 80%, and actually I can only drag at this point in time up to here because the car is at 80%. So it seems like normally you can charge between 50 to 100. It's great that they've got a regular trip section over here which lets you limit it to 80% or even 90%, and then for long road trips 100%, because this is, remember, a NMC battery. Other than the general details that you see here on the screen, you do have scheduled charging which you can turn on, and then tap this one here to set. The one odd thing is that it doesn't look like you can set based on specific day, at least not in standard mode up here. We'll have to have a look at that in a moment. And then on scheduled trip, which is when you want to leave the house, you can go battery, temperature, maintenance, cabin comfort, and that's to adjust temperature 15 minutes before your trip. And you can set the trip time, so let's turn on that to have a look. So yeah, you've got all of these settings to repeat per day at a certain time if you'd like, which is great. So I'll close out of that. And then if we jump to standard mode, you can go dynamic mode as well. And that's just referring to if you're driving actually in dynamic mode, how much range you're going to get. And then in the settings up here, you can set actually the charge limit. So let's plug it in and see what the charge looks like. Okay, so charge port is just here on the back corner, like our Model Y. Pop that out, that comes out. Now you do need to remember, you do need to remove the covers. Alright, so once you've opened up the cover, take the cover off. I've just removed both so that you guys can see the whole Type 2 port. So at the moment the light is white. We've got the Type 2 charger here. Plug that straight in. Let's see if that color changes at all. So that goes blue, which I guess signifies it's connected, as does it show right here, blue. So let's go in the car and we may have to just click start charging. Alright, back in the car, so you can see this button now shows here, you can start charging. Actually we had scheduled charging on, that's why I didn't start charging straight away, so we'll turn that off. And I could just hear that click on the Tesla charger. So you can see here it's now charging. An hour 39 left to charge to 100%. So this is also what you see on the smaller screen. So you can see it's charging. It's currently 335 kilometers on range, and you can see current is 80%. Time remaining an hour 40 minutes. And this is what it looks like over here. Current time remaining an hour 42, and you can see animation that goes across over here. And then it also tells you that's a current amp, voltage, charging power, charging speed. It shows you all over here, and remember you can set all of this through over here. So max limit 32 amps. And we'll pull down out of this. That's what you get to see on screen. Now, because this is all-wheel drive, you do also have the screen on the outside of the vehicle as well. So I want to show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the outside as well in the all-wheel drive when you charge your car. One thing that I've actually found odd is the car is charging at the moment, but on this main screen you can see that it's charging here, but there is no way to stop the charging here or to open the charge port. So you can fold the mirrors if you'd like, you can open the boot. You can't open the frunk from here, but you can't also open the charge port there. So I thought that was a bit odd, but you can click this bit here, which brings you back to this menu over here, which is great. But the shortcut is potentially a nice added feature in the future. So we're going to stop charging, and yeah, that's basically how everything looks. Alright, we are currently sitting at 19% state of charge. Hope you can see that there at the top in the middle, which says we can do 78 kilometers. So we're just going to top it up as we're still wrapping up some of the videos on this car. So unlock here, pull out both, and then 68 kilowatt DC charging at this BP station. So get this heavy thing. Never understood why these ones are so heavy. Anyways, that's successfully connected. And it says use app or tap your card below to authenticate. So I've already got it set up on my app. So hit that, begin charge, and then off we go. So we should easily hit the top 68 kilowatts here, and as soon as we hit 68 here, as soon as we plugged it in, this one actually shows a limit of 50. So remember, this car can do 150 kilowatt DC. So 67.2. Let's go check out the car. Alright, back in the car, what do we see when it's DC charging? So there's the stats. Current range 19%, which matches that one there. You've got an hour 14 to reach 100% to the charging limit. And same thing here, except I guess a bit clearer of our display. And almost at 60 kilowatts, it's roughly 356 kilometers per hour. And so, out of curiosity, let's see what it would be like if we were to actually drag the charge percentage down to just 80%. So let's have a look. Where would we go? Car settings, charging. Now let's go down to, so it's an hour 12 at the moment. If it's at say 81%, 40 minutes. Alright, so from 20 to 80, it's saying about 38 minutes is what it'll take. So currently we've gone up about 11%. Still got 30 minutes remaining. We can do 127 Ks in terms of range. So far it's costed roughly $5. So might just charge for a couple more minutes, more than what we need, and then we'll stop there. Okay, 150 kilometers on range. That's probably more than enough. So let me end session. So we spent roughly 10 minutes here. So realistically, it's only a little bit longer than coming immediately to fill up. I mean, if you had to wait for someone else to fill up, it's probably realistically about the same time. How much did that cost? So we've gone from about 19% to 34% and $7.15. Any questions on DC charging? Drop it down below and I'll be happy to answer it. Alright, let's talk about the differences between the variants. So, two variants in this car. You've got the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive. This here, as I said, is the all-wheel drive. So let's look at some external differences so I can wrap it up in one summary comparison for you guys. Alright, so first things first, obviously this being the all-wheel drive, you've got a rear motor and a front motor. In your rear-wheel drive only, you pretty much don't get the front motor, which is 115 kilowatts that you're missing out on. These wheels, as I've mentioned previously in the external walkthrough, these are the 20-inch forged alloy wheels, so you do have 19s as standard for the rear-wheel drive model. In terms of 0 to 100, obviously a difference there too. So this car does 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds according to ZEEKR. I don't know if that was subtracting the 1 foot rollout or not, but based on my testing, without subtracting that amount, I got about 4.4 seconds. And I got it twice, exactly flat at 4.4, which means that it equated to roughly, I'd say about 4.1 seconds to 100, which is fairly close to that. So, and again, you know, it always differs based on temperature, ambient temperature, tire temperature, tire PSI. You know, there's a whole lot of variations that need to be taken into account. Okay, so let's talk range. So the figures that's quoted were, I think, ADR figures, which actually is not accurate, and you'll get nowhere near those figures. For the rear-wheel drive, actually on the website, it quotes 540, and then on this car, it quotes 470. Now, we didn't get anywhere near that. It was just pretty much low 400s, realistically, which was showing on the screen when we picked up the car, and that was at 100%. So, guys, you're not going to get anywhere near what they're quoting online. So just make sure that when you are paying attention to the range quoted, that you do look at how they've calculated. If it's ADR, if it's NEDC, if it's CLTC, WLTP, and so forth. So there are conversions online where you can kind of get the rough estimates based on that. But what I can tell you is for this all-wheel drive spec, it was just low 400s, about 420, I think, off the top of my head. I'll have to put a screenshot overlay of when we picked up the car at 100% and what that looks like. But just know that with the all-wheel drive, you do get less range because you're also powering the front motors as well, so you're losing a bit of range out in that regard. Okay, other differences between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. You're looking at 7.2 kilowatts AC charging for your rear-wheel drive versus 11 kilowatts in this car. Now, That only matters, just to be very clear, if you guys have three-phase energy at home or three-phase electricity. If you guys don't, you're probably limited to the 7 kilowatts anyway. So don't make that a deciding factor. You guys need to make sure that if you have a three-phase charger at home or you have three-phase electricity and you intend on getting a charger, that you will then use the 11 kilowatts, or that you're capable of using the 11 kilowatts. Otherwise, it's actually useless because you're still capped at the same amount anyway. So that shouldn't be a purely deciding factor if you're not sure or if you don't have three-phase. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, so we've covered off the charging, the power differences, the 0 to 100 differences, the range differences, the wheels. The next one is the convenience package. So the rear-wheel drive misses out on all of these things I'm about to read to you, and the all-wheel drive has this as standard for $4,000. So I'll put a screenshot up next to me, so I'll move the camera like that so I can just put it up on the side over here. But the stuff that can cost $4,000, and remember, once you add $4,000, it's a percentage for all the relevant taxes and charges as well. So it is slightly more than the $4,000, but based on the purchase price, it's $4,000 plus whatever relevant taxes. So in the rear-wheel drive, so remember, base spec, what I'm about to say means that base spec rear-wheel drive, you do not get these features at all. So you get driver seat memory, 6-way power front passenger, 4-way lumbar, driver and passenger heating and ventilation. You get a heated steering wheel, you get 13 speaker Yamaha sound system, and you get a ice block LED ambient lighting. So for the ice block LED ambient lighting, it's a bit bright here, so I'll have to do a video overlay of what that one is, the LED ambient lighting. Basically on the screen, I can just show you here during the day. This bit here all lights up as you play music, but it's just a little hard to see. Oh, and I didn't even ask ZEEKR that, but okay. So the ice block LED, let me flip the camera around, is just this bit over here and then this bit over here. So it's a series of LED lights that pretty much just plays as you're playing music. All right, so as I said, I'll put the differences over here for $4,000, and it's up to you guys if you want to buy that or not. So those were the key things that you can kind of option out. Now there's two more key differences that only exist in the all-wheel drive model. So that is the heads-up display. So guys, if you do want a heads-up display, you can only buy the all-wheel drive model. There's no option for that from the rear-wheel drive. And the other thing is the smart B pillar, the one over here, the thing that smiles at you when you unlock the car. So that is the only thing that comes in all-wheel drive only. So there is no option again for that as well. So unfortunately, if you guys want that, that's all you have to get. I mean, this is the only spec you have to get. Okay, let's talk pricing. So rear-wheel drive starts from $49,900 plus on-road costs. All-wheel drive starts from $62,990 plus on-road costs. Now, these have baked in the recent discount or the reduction in price, I guess. So for context, the rear-wheel drive spec used to be about $56,000 or $57,000, and they've dropped it all the way down to just under $50,000 at $49,900. So they've dropped $7,000. Drive away price, what that means as a conversion, so I looked it up on the website last night. Drive away for the rear-wheel drive means it's roughly $55,629. For the all-wheel drive, because they've dropped it only $2,000 as opposed to $7,000 for the rear-wheel drive, it's $62,990 now. It used to be $64,990, which means a drive away price of $69,804, so just under $70,000. Now, the one thing to note that I don't have an explanation for is that there is a very steep delivery fee, and I don't know specifically why or if you guys can get that reduced. Based on my research online, when I went through the whole pricing calculator, there's quite a steep delivery fee, $2,739. So yeah, just take that into account if you guys are buying the car. And you know, since they do operate a dealership model, I'd say reach out to the dealer and see what that consists of, and if you could potentially get that reduced or waived. And next thing I want to say is what I'm about to tell you guys. Obviously, I'm not pushing for sales. I'm not paid by ZEEKR or anything. It's a brand I like, and it's just information that based on my research, because I do believe when I research things, I am extremely thorough, that you guys should be across this. So any cars delivered before June 30th, so purchased and delivered. So I've read the terms and conditions. So it's delivered before June 30, gets a 7 kilowatt home charger and 12 months unlimited charging with EV networks. How good's that? So yeah, you get a home charger. The home charger is 7 kilowatts, meaning it's single phase, and it does not have installation as a part of that cost. So installation will be separate. So you buy the car, you get the free charger, you got to pay for installation yourself. It's single phase as far as I'm aware, and then you do get 12 months unlimited EV charging, or EV networks charging, I should say. So yeah, I think that's pretty decent, right? Because usually it's one or the other, but in this case, they're actually giving you both. So well done to ZEEKR, and hopefully people do jump on the bandwagon and buy this car, because so far I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, so time to talk competition, competitors. Who are they? What are they? Roughly what pricing and so forth. So I want to start by not just jumping straight through to EV competitors. I want to make sure that from now on, when I kind of talk about cars, I talk about the ICE equivalent as well. Not because I support ICE cars. I think there's a place for ICE cars, especially the performance ones. That's a separate discussion. But I want you guys to know that if you guys are considering these ICE cars as options, you probably could also consider this car as well. Now, the list goes on, but I'm just going to rattle off some based on looking specifically at the dimensions of this car. So I was looking for cars that are around the 4.4 meter length for ICE cars. And again, there will be cars that I have missed, because these are just a handful that I've just grabbed based on a quick search. So, and also based on similar pricing as well. So Mazda CX-30, Toyota Corolla Cross, Nissan Qashqai, Skoda Karoq, Jeep Compass, Cupra Formentor, Peugeot 3008, Audi Q3, Alfa Romeo Tonale, BMW X1, Mercedes GLA, Volkswagen Tiguan. Any types of those cars, you guys have pretty much a similar size comparison with the ZEEKR X, except I can put my hand on my heart and say, based on the technology, based on this being an EV, this outshines all of them. So yeah, that's basically the ICE equivalents. Now let's talk about the EV equivalents that are similar sized as well. So before I talk to you guys about the specific competitors that I'm talking about, I want to say that I am absolutely not putting this in the same bucket as the Tesla Model Y, the Xpeng G6, the BYD C Line 7 as examples. The key reason why I'm not doing that is because this is 4.4 something meters long, and those cars are like 4.6 to 4.8, roughly the 4.7 meter mark. Now the difference in that is quite significant, because if you actually look at the interior and the interior space that it has in the car, the front space, the boot space, they all outshine this car. I'm not going to beat around the bush and try to say that this car has the absolute best space and everything. Compared to those cars in terms of space, this car loses out easily. So in my eyes, they are not a competitor. This car, you'd be looking at competitors such as the Volvo EX30. Now, Volvo EX30 is basically built on the same platform. It's basically the same car. However, this car supposedly has, I think it was 9mm, I think it was, don't quote me on that, a slightly longer wheelbase though, which means that overall you do get a little bit more space. And so how much is pricing? So let me talk about drive-away pricing for this ZEEKR X first, and then I will keep that on the screen so that when I talk about the other competitors, I can give you guys the prices too. So this ZEEKR X in rear-wheel drive, remember drive-away price we're talking about, it's roughly 55,629 for rear-wheel drive, and the all-wheel drive is 69,804. there's cents associated to it, but we're just keeping it at flat figures just so that it looks easier on the comparison for your eyes visually. Volvo EX30 works out to be 67,540 to 79,405. So if we're talking about top spec, right? This one is 69,000 something dollars in this all-wheel drive spec. The top spec Volvo EX30 is 79,405. So there's roughly a $10,000 difference. And that $10,000, I guess, goes a long way these days, don't you think? I mean, you know, in case of this, it's 1/7 of the car. So anyways, that's that. Smart hashtag 1 goes from 54,900 to 67,900. That was plus on-road cost, so I didn't get the drive away price. So definitely going to be more than this car. And then smart hashtag 3, 57,900 plus 70,900. Plus on-road costs on top of that as well. So when I put the figures on the screen, I'll see if I can include the drive away pricing, just so that it's all inclusive and easy for you guys to compare. So yeah, in my eyes, you've got those cars there, which are similar priced within the same size category, and by category I mean same size in terms of the car, at 4.4 meters. Now, other cars that are cheaper in price, but I personally don't feel like they sit in the same space, because this car is more luxurious and those cars are more entry level and I guess less luxurious, if we can call it that. BYD Atto 3, Hyundai Kona Electric, Kia Niro EV, MG ZS, or even the new the replacement, which is the S5 EV. So I think those ones are also competition, but on the lower entry level end, not in the premium segment. Then we've got the higher comp side of things, which brings the pricing way more than this car, but again is similar sized to this car, and that's why I'm including it as a competition. And I guess at the end of this video, where that should kind of pitch this vehicle is this should pretty much be in the middle of all of these cars in terms of pricing. So the higher end, Mercedes EQA, 87,000 to 93,000 drive away. Remember, this car is about 69,000 something. So it's almost 20k more for a Mercedes EQA. You've then got, and that's for the base model EQA. So Audi Q4 e-tron goes from $90,000 to $112,000. BMW iX1 goes from $87,000 to $94,000. So where does that place this car? As I said, right in the middle. So I'm going to read you out some models, then where I feel like this is inserted based on existing pricing, and then the higher end. Okay, so here we go. We've got so we've got the entry level ones as a summary: BYD Atto 3, Hyundai Kona Electric, Kia Niro EV, MG ZS or MG S5 EV. Then we've got Volvo. Then we've got this car, ZEEKR X, in the middle. Then we've got the Volvo EX30, smart hashtag 1, smart hashtag 3, and then the top end, which is Mercedes EQA, Audi Q4 e-tron, BMW iX1. Now, by top end, I'm referring to top end pricing. Okay, just to be very clear. So yeah, that really puts this right in the middle of all of those competitors. So if you guys were considering something like a Atto 3, Hyundai Kona Electric, Kia Niro, MG, and you wanted a bit more luxury, as an example, or a bit more tech, consider this car. And if you guys don't want to pay as much money for cars like the Q4 e-tron, EQA or iX1, then potentially consider this car as well. Otherwise, realistically, the competitors, like for like or extremely similar based on car and size, pricing, all of that. Volvo EX30, smart hashtag 1, smart hashtag 3. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. If I've missed any cars based on all this competitor information stuff, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. Drop it in the comments below. What have I missed? So I can make sure that I include something along the lines of whatever you're going to say as feedback for my next video. But that basically covers all of the competition. Alright, going to give you guys a quick walkthrough from our infotainment side of things. So got some general details at the top: 4G connection, Wi-Fi connection, Bluetooth, if you're using the phone charger or not. There's a USB slot and location here. Over here you've got Sentry mode that you can turn on. You've got the DVR or video recording that you can turn on. Difference is Sentry mode specifically for parking. This one here is just to record videos as you're driving. This here is a shortcut to take you directly to Apple CarPlay. That is the current battery percentage for your car. You can log into your ZEEKR account, which I believe syncs some stuff here. that's lock and unlock, and self-explanatory on the time and whatnot. This here just allows you to turn your vehicle around and you can check the status of anything. And what I mean by that is, as an example, if for example you look here and you hit that, that closes the mirrors on the sides, and that shows that it's closed. You can click this one to vent all the windows, and that pushes it back up. So it's good that they change color so you can clearly see if you've clicked it or not. And then you can open and close the boot there. The one thing it doesn't have, because it is a manual latch, is actually opening up that right there, the charge port. So it's a fully manual, so it doesn't have it there. Otherwise, that's pretty much what you see on the main screen, and that's this ZEEKR home button down over here. Over here to the bottom left, you can pretty much see trips and statistics based on past 100 kilometers. You can also switch it down to the last 10 kilometers as well, and just general stats. Then you can scroll down. It gives you other trip statistics, energy consumption ratio, and then that's for trip 2 as well. So there's quite a lot of information that they show you here, which is fantastic. You then also have range, so that's just quickly showing you general details. So 65% there, 271 k's here. Also shows me that on my smaller screen on the right. You also do have tire pressure, and tells you that it's normal here at the moment. And then you've got maintenance over here as well. So back onto the home screen. Then over here you've got a couple of apps that you have over here, and then you've got this 3 dots here, so you can add any of these as I guess quick ones to select for whatever it is that you need. So it's just quick access, and you can swipe across and you can adjust side mirrors, HUD adjustment, which is the heads up display, fold mirrors and all of that stuff also, and add something custom. So just swipe across as well. That here is self-explanatory for music. And coming down to the bottom here, so you've got music right here, which says you're not logged into Spotify, so you can log here directly. Then this one here and this one here is obviously for demister for the front and the back of the car. These ones are for the seat settings. So actually if I push this right one as an example and I push the left one, it pretty much brings up the same thing. Having the convenience option, if you're rear-wheel drive or in the all-wheel drive, you get this as standard. You do have heated cooling seats all right here. You do also have seat adjustment that you can go down here, so you can actually adjust and save all of these as you need. So it's actually quite good and quite useful, and you can even adjust lumbar, believe it or not, for driver and passenger, or electronically. So I think that's actually a really good feature. I think this is pretty cool. The one thing that seems missing from here, even though I get that that's just seat, normally when I think about heated seating, I would think I could also do heated steering wheel. However, I can't in this example because they've put it here. It's up here. So normally logic says, or at least for me anyway, I would, if I'm doing heated seating or cooling seating in this option here, I would have thought that I could do it in the same menu. However, it's actually in the fan option menu and it's up here. The other cool thing with regards to this is that, first of all, the aircon works so well. This is borderline getting cold here for 20 degrees at the moment. But anyways, jumping back to this, the thing I like is actually this function here. So air swing means it swings around automatically. You can also have focus, which means that it actually hits you in the face, and avoid, which actually avoids your face. And these actually work really, really, really well. And if you want it fixed, you hit free. Otherwise, you can, I think you tap twice and it actually switches it off. So you can't switch that one off. You can switch this one off. So his middle one seems to stay. And that's it. So yeah, that's all the aircon functions and whatnot, and I can confirm that they work really well. Then in terms of temperature, you tap that, again it brings up the same thing. So that's why in my head I was thinking, you know, there's a whole lot of buttons here. They could have simplified it to kind of put it all into one menu. But again, that's just me. Jumping further down over here, you've got 360 camera. And so in your camera, you've got different settings that you can see here. Transparent car mode literally just makes that transparent, and it uses the front camera as you were driving to record what's underneath to show you there. Now in terms of the cameras, what can you see? So this is currently the front view. You've got rear left and right, which is helpful for reverse parkers. Front left and right, which is also helpful, but you'd probably use that when you're driving into a car park spot or somewhere tight to avoid gutter rashing. That's the rear wide angle, and then front wide angle, and then you've got your 3D one over here, which means you can move it around as well. And then you've got park, which I've already demonstrated to you guys, and that's pull out or pull in, and it just moves the car in and out of the space as required. Alright, and the last bit here is all of the apps. So these are all of the apps you basically get with the car. ZEEKR Space. So I believe this is potentially where you could buy the refrigerator, which, as I told you guys, is 1,100 something off the top of my head. I'll put the price again as an overlay so you guys can see that. External audio play. So, believe it or not, there's a loudspeaker outside, and actually you can play things. So you can actually set a thanks for giving way, and you can record it, or you can hear it from the outside. Pedestrians first, same thing. And I think these are different noises that you can do. And this one here on external audio play, believe it or not, if you go original voice, you can actually talk and it just plays on the speaker outside. You can also put music on to play outside as well, and these are all default sounds that you can actually play, and it plays outside. So a bit of a gimmick, and this is one of the things that I was saying that is just funky about the car. You may or may not like it, you may or may not ever use it, but it basically does have the function to do that. You've got light show that you can actually do. I haven't played these myself, but internal speakers, you can do external speakers as well. And it's just telling you, giving you a warning or a reminder that, you know, this is going to play outside, so use it with caution. Bluetooth radio, USB, I think some of these ones here are quite self-explanatory. You do have a camera function here. Camera actually just goes through to the front of the car. And you can, I think, zoom in as well. 2x zoom. Then you've got gallery to look at all the photos you've taken. This My Car section just takes you to the maintenance section. Navigation, self-explanatory, online music or Spotify. Rest mode. So you can rest, and I guess you can also select to turn the screen off, and it just makes ambient noise for you. So again, one of those things that you may or may not ever use. The rest of the bottom three things here I think are self-explanatory. And then ZEEKR Store, it does tell you that you need to log in, so I actually don't have too much more information on that, but I'll click that anyway. There you go. So you do need access to the app to actually do anything there. Now, coming back to here. So what else can you do and see on the screen? So we've gone through pretty much everything that you see there. I want to show you guys the various settings that you have. So you click on this car icon down here. And let's start at the top. So you've got, the way they've positioned it is you've got tabs at the top under each menu. You've got sub-menus, and then you've got the rest of the details here. So you can adjust low beam. You can do approach lights, welcome and goodbye as well. And follow me home. Pause the screen there if you guys want to have a look at anything in detail, because it's got the explanation there. Here is the interior. Again, this is to do with all of the lighting. So you can go music mode, breathing, and you can do single color. You could do whatever it is that you want. And it'll all turn on for whatever it is that you'd like. So that's to whatever you guys want. Now, as an example, it's too bright here, so I can't show you guys, but I will put an overlay of breathing or music mode just to show you guys what that looks like. So that's the interior lighting. So back to the exterior, that's everything we've covered off. will come down to doors and windows. So maximum opening angle, so you can actually preset that as well, and you can save it, which is fantastic, all done within the car. Child lock, window locks, door locks, all of that. And then you've got windows as well. You can actually just set it to vent, open all, close all. So you can do all of that within here, and it shows you how far. So unfortunately, yes, that's right, the rear ones only open halfway. Alright, jumping down to charging and V2L, I think I've covered this already, a lot of this section. You've also got power, another device. So remember, this car does have V2L. I think it was 3.3 kilowatts off the top of my head. But it also doesn't include the adapter. So just be mindful of that. And if it is something you guys are interested in, you can absolutely get that. And then you can power whatever it is you need. Driving settings, our favorite one. So the usual driving settings that we've talked through over here. Auto hold. You've got snow mode, ESC, which is stability control, hill descent, all of those sections are here. ZEEKR AD, so you've got lane keeping assist, automatic lane change. So we tried this on, which worked really well. Intelligent adaptive cruise control, collision management, all of the safety stuff, as you can see as I'm scrolling through. So guys, just pause the video if you want to read it more in detail. And then you've got parking assist, warning volume, and just whether or not you want to enable that automatic parking or not. Moving down, safety and security. Starting at the top, Sentry mode, video resolution, video duration, memory cards, car locating method, tow mode, car wash mode, power off, and then some privacy settings. Following on, Connect just talks through all the Bluetooth connections in the past. You've also got available Wi-Fi networks, in-car hotspot as well, and whether or not you want to connect it to 5G or not. Otherwise, it's just 3G and 4G that you can see there. Sounds and notifications. So 3 sections. You've got sound optimization, speed dependent volume control. I really don't like that feature. It exists, but I'm not a big fan of it. Sound effects enhancement, so this is just sort of similar to equalizer. HXT, you've got tap sound effects and chimes, and all other volume controls. Over to equalizer, bass, middle, treble, and then general notifications on what you allow and don't allow for the vehicle. Then coming down to voice assistants, it says here, hi ZEEKR, and then that obviously...
Good morning. Say that again.
So that's just an example of that. You could change that too. There's also this voice. Don't know what it is, so let's try that. Hi ZEEKR.
I am here.
There you go. So that's the male voice. That's the female voice. You can give it a makeover, and that's just this one over here. And then it's just got automatic updates or not. Then in display, starting at the top, dark light auto, driver display brightness. So this one is in reference to your small dash. This one here is this display here, which I said realistically the auto doesn't always work amazingly. And then some general time settings, tire pressure settings. Then OTA, over the air auto update. So this has been set to auto update. And then more. So you've got wiper sensitivity, steering wheel custom keys, and wireless device charging. So the left shortcut key and the right shortcut keys. Remember, these were the ones that I showed you guys earlier on that was behind the front steering wheel. And this is what I mean. You've only got a couple of options. Source switch, mute control, pedestrian warning, and loudspeaker. And it's the same thing for the right. That's all you get to choose. So in the settings for your pedestrian warning, that's where you could set whatever it is that you wanted to. So, you know, if I hit this left button now to show you guys, I don't know if you heard that, but it basically said you're welcome to go first, be careful. And so that pretty much covers everything in terms of all of the infotainment systems. Alright guys, we have just completed a short area driving on Parramatta Road in Sydney. Now, for the ones that don't know what Parramatta Road is or what type of road it is one of the roughest roads in Sydney. Lots of bumps, lots of potholes, you name it, it's horrible. It's the worst of the worst. And what I can tell you guys quite comfortably is this car performed really well. Even this car, being the all drive model, which has 20-inch wheels, I can safely put my hand on my heart and say that it absorbed it very well. It doesn't hurt. Yes, you do feel the bumps, but it's Parramatta Road, so you'd feel all of it anyway. So we are now in the M4 and we're going to give the cruise control a go. Again, we're still on the standard settings, so I haven't changed any of that. So hopefully this gives you guys a good view and an idea of what it's like to own and drive this car. Now, there's a truck up ahead that is driving in low gear. Besides that truck, the rest of the sound from this car is actually pretty quiet. Alright, so there's a little bit of traffic ahead, so I'm going to speed up a little bit and I might try active cruise control, and then we might try, I guess, ZEEKR's version of autopilot. So let's pull down once at 80 k's an hour. This is a 90 zone, so we'll see how it reacts. Alright, so you may have heard that little ding sound. I can see on my heads up display it's showing 78 kilometers an hour. So let's see if I can go up by using my left button over here on the steering wheel. Yep, that can go up, and if I hold it up quickly, it goes up by 5 kilometer increments. So now it's showing 90 kilometers on the limit, so it shows on my HUD and it also shows over here. And I am the person that's fully steering the vehicle. Distance, I saw that it was distance 3. So if I move left and right on my steering wheel, I can now go down to even distance 1. So now we are at distance 1. Supposedly max limit 90 k's an hour, and it's doing about 85 kilometers. And again, I am in control of the steering wheel. I might pull down twice and see how it goes. Okay. Now it says LCC activated. I presume that's lane cruise control potentially. We'll have to see. And again, it's still a 90 zone. Now, for whatever the reasons are, when I turned on the lane cruise control, it went to 79 kilometers an hour as a speed limit. So I've now pushed it back to 90. Now, I did have a check in the settings earlier on, and it did say that this does have lane changing feature. So actually, let's try that out. If I indicate right, so this car speeding up, I can see something here saying lane change in progress, and it's done it. And now it's also shown me on my heads up display that it's done that little S bend to the right. So I actually like that. It was really confident. It did it really quick, and it actually took the accelerator pedal on, stepped on it, moved out to the speed limit, and worked out flawlessly. Fantastic job. I loved it. So there's a bit of traffic up ahead. We're going to see if we can indicate back to the left lane, and we'll see how that goes. So just indicate to the left. Oh, clearly something happened. It said lane change cancelled. Let's try again. Nicely done. Now, I'll have to check all the default settings, but there's only been a few instances where it said turn the steering wheel. It hasn't gone bonkers at me, nudging me for anything, so I actually don't know what specific settings are turned on or off at this point in time. I've literally just jumped in and had a go. So there's a car approaching me on the back right. Now, I don't know if it's in the settings again, but I did see that the sensors do show up on the heads-up display as well. So it's really good. So even though you've got the blind spot monitoring on both sides, it's great to see that it also shows here, so that even if I'm just driving forward without even looking left, I can tell that there is a car on my back left corner. And I'm not feeling too many nudges on this steering wheel as well. So what that essentially means is the ZEEKR system, in terms of the cruise control, lane change, so far all of that is actually working pretty well. And I have yet to see it go past 90 kilometers as well. So I definitely do know, because it was the first thing I checked, was that I set the threshold to 0 or absolute, which means that it should not exceed 90 kilometers an hour if I have it on cruise control. And so it's holding that speed pretty well. All right, so it seems like there's a bit of traffic up ahead, and even based on distance 1, I think the car's performing quite well. I don't have any complaints. I'm indicating left again. And it did cancel out of the lane cruise control, but it's also reactivated. So yeah, no complaints so far. I'm actually quite impressed. Okay, so we're about to exit onto the off ramp to James Risk Drive. So we'll see if this slows down to a total stop smoothly. So sort of mimicking as if we were in traffic. So let's see, I've got my foot on the brake, ready to hit the brakes hard if I need to. There you go. So that was done all on its own. Alright, I sense a bit of traffic up ahead, so in a moment I might actually activate the cruise control again, and we'll see how it handles actual traffic, and we'll see if it's really jerky or not. Alright, so this is a 70 zone. So I'm just upping the speed to 70. Now I've got the whole lane cruise control, all of that stuff all on at the moment. So let's see. So lane keeping distance is set to 1. I feel like the car gap realistically is 2 cars worth, not 1, even though this is set on 1. Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you guys think? Between the Jeep and myself up ahead, this is currently set on lane distance 1. Not right now, of course, we're braking, but from before. To me, I would have thought that's normally more like lane keeping 2 cars ahead. But either way, keen to hear your thoughts. Also, side note, I've got the wide angle attachment on my camera up here. So guys, can you let me know your feedback? Is it blurry? Do you guys like it? Is it something you'd want to see a bit more? Like, is it nicer to see? Let me know, because yeah, I might continue using it. I feel like it's giving you guys, I guess, a bit more view on the car. All right, so car's moving again. So I didn't even have my foot on the brake. Should have said, sorry guys. So foot's not even on the brake. When the car in front left, this car started moving itself. So remember, 70 zone at the moment. I've got all of the lane stuff on. As I was crossing that light just then, it did say LCC deactivated, and then all of a sudden it said it activated again. So I presume it almost didn't see where it was going because of that brake in the traffic section there as we were crossing. So then it picked up again. Alright, so we've been testing cruise control on the highway, and then we've tested it in traffic a little bit. What's my final verdict? At least for now. So let's start off with how it performed on the highway. I think it performed flawlessly. I think it's been great. It didn't jiggle too much. It didn't give any crazy warnings. The lane change worked really smoothly, and I like the fact that if you were going below the speed limit and the lanes were free outside and you indicated out, it showed you the pathway it was obviously going to take when you indicated that direction, and then you actually sped up. It didn't just go out and then it tried to speed up. It literally just sped up and then went out. So I really like that. And then in terms of how it's managing in traffic so far, I think it's still managing okay. the one thing that I did feel odd was that it seems a little bit more jerky. So when it's going slow, now I'll switch the camera to this one here, but I don't know if you can see. So you'll notice that once I start moving, you'll see the steering wheel kind of jerk a little bit as it moves forward. So hopefully once these cars move up a bit, you can see. So I'm not too sure I'm just not too sure what it was, but you can see it's actually twitching a little bit. I guess that's probably a good way to explain it. Alright, planting the foot on comfort. Very slow. So my foot was down flat, and that was just getting to 70 k's an hour. So how does comfort feel? Look, from a steering side of things, extremely light. From a pedal side of things, I would say for a non-car enthusiast, I think it feels okay, probably just a little bit on the slower side. I felt like there was a lag down the bottom. We'll have to test it in the normal and the sport settings a bit later, but I did feel from the time I planted my foot on the floor, it did seem like it was a little delayed before the car started to get moving. So we'll have to test it again in the sport settings as well a bit later. But so far, slow. I also think that, you know, for everyday, day-to-day driving, look, once you get the car going, I don't actually think there's an issue with comfort. It just feels like a normal car to drive. There's nothing special about it in terms of like the speed or anything like that. It's just an easy car to drive, and the power delivery is actually really smooth. So if that's something you guys care about, then potentially you're going to actually just like comfort mode. Alright, we're on some nicer roads now, guys. So yeah, we're at 43% state of charge. 177 kilometers is what it's saying I can do. So 43%, 177 Ks. We're all on comfort settings at the moment, and what I can tell you guys is the steering is feather light, like to the point where you don't really feel much. Self-explanatory, right? Like it's expected. So I think that bit's fine. I think once you're on the go, like once the car is moving, in terms of comfort for the acceleration side of things, I think it maintains the speed pretty well. Like it's very easy to maintain the speed this is an 80 kilometer an hour zone, and so you are stepping on the pedal a little bit, but the speed obviously isn't creeping up too much. So I think it's quite good. But as I said, the steering is like super light. Now the car doesn't have like automatic dampening suspension or adjustable suspension as you go and all of that magic stuff that we've got like in our Model X for the adaptive suspension. But the dampers are actually holding okay. It feels a little bit floaty when you're on the bumps that go up and down like just then. But when you're cornering, it's actually not too bad. I might switch over to normal power assisted steering. Actually, let's just go straight to sport. Let's see what the difference is. Oh yeah, okay. So you can feel the steering's like totally stiffens up. Night and day difference between the both. So normal, I guess, is middle ground, but for sport, it definitely is night and day difference between comfort. The steering does feel like it stiffens up. The car itself doesn't stiffen up, but more just from the steering. It's almost like for the ones that play games, you know, or actually if you've ever driven a game on like a car simulator or you've played at the arcade machines, when you get that force feedback, it feels sort of like that. Obviously without the vibration, it just feels a lot more connected. So I definitely recommend putting it into sport mode if you kind of want to make it feel more like a car. But if you want something that just feels like simple to drive and you really don't care, the lighter the better, then absolutely go for comfort, go for gold. You'll be really happy. So that's the acceleration and the steering. I might switch to standard acceleration now and see what the difference is. Actually, before we do that, I might jump back on comfort and I might slow down to 60 k's an hour and then plant my foot to the speed limit at 80. So we're at 56, 55 actually, and let's plan 50. Let's go all the way up to 90 to this speed zone. So there's a bit of lag. All right, so this is our 90 zone at the moment. Planting my foot from 50 something. So I noticed there was a little bit of delay or lag from the get-go in this comfort mode. So I don't know what that was really. I'll have to test it in the other modes. But from the get-go, like I'm imagining if I'm in comfort mode and I'm say at a roundabout and I want to dash out, I think you'll be in trouble, or I think you really have to preempt that lag, because it's not something you want, especially in city driving. Like if there's a space and you're gonna go, you better be in that space. You better want that car to move. Anyways, let's jump over to standard. So this is a 90 km/h zone, guys. As I said, same thing in standard. So this is just acceleration as of change. So if I slow down a little bit and I plant my foot, yeah, again, there is still that lag. It's not as noticeable. It's a little bit better, but there definitely still is that little lag from the time you plant your foot. And you know what? Let me explain it to you guys like this. So if I'm cruising at 90 km/h, actually, I'll obviously to get to the speed limit, so I'll slow down a little bit. So say we're doing it in the 80s. If I plant my foot, if I just stomp on it for like a quick second, you guys may have, I don't know if it comes through the microphone, but when I stomp on, you might be able to hear it. See, nothing actually happens, right? But if I stomp on it for a few seconds, watch this. You see that? So like, there's literally like a second delay from the time you stomp on your foot, and this is on standard. So we're gonna have to try the same thing in a moment for sport mode. But so far that lag is a little bit, it's a little bit frustrating. But again, this only applies if you are consistently dashing in and out of roundabouts, or you want the spirited driving and you just want that instant reaction straight away. That's what's going to annoy you. Realistically, if it's day-to-day driving, like once you start to tap on the accelerator a little bit to move, say in bumper-to-bumper traffic, you're not going to notice that. So that's just, I guess, a caveat, just so you guys totally understand what I mean. All right, sport mode, let's go. Oh, also, I just saw something pop up. When you go into sport mode, it changes one pedal to creep mode, so there is no standstill. So that's a little bit annoying, because I actually like being able to use one pedal mode and also sport mode. What's the reasoning behind that? Anyways, let's slow down a little bit. So again, so in sport mode, if I just go slow down a little bit and I stomp on the pedal, it's a little bit more responsive. Look, the delay in the pedal lag is absolutely still there, but it is so much better. It is a massive delay in comfort for whatever the reasons are. Now that's pretty much all of the car settings, so I might switch back to CarPlay. But basically, acceleration wise, that's the key differences. Steering wise, as I said, night and day difference between your normal one and your sport. And so what I've learned through driving on these, I guess, more nicer driving roads, if that's what you could call it, is this car absorbs the bumps really well in terms of pain and feel for the car. Like once you go over the bumps, you don't really feel it. It doesn't hurt, so to speak, but you can see from my body movements that it doesn't absorb the dampening from a suspension height side of things. Like it feels bouncy when I'm going over these. Like it doesn't hurt, which is a good thing, but it also means that you kind of bounce up and down a lot more than what you normally would, at least when I'm comparing to a sports car. The steering side of things is good. The acceleration is, I guess, great actually at 3.8 seconds. and the delay really is minimal when you get to sports mode. However, it is still there, so I think that's one call out that as a car enthusiast I'm not too fond of. There is still that delay. And even then, when you talk about steering feel, even though this is on sport, I think realistically that should be the baseline. I mean, at least as a car enthusiast anyway, I don't feel like, even on sports mode, you don't feel too much. So that's just something to be wary of. Alright, so we're heading back to the hills. So a couple of things I want to talk about in terms of the driving dynamics and all of that. So the long story short is night and day difference between comfort and sport. Sport, in terms of steering, should be the baseline. Absolutely should be the baseline. It feels good driving in sport. For me personally, comfort is way too light. You don't feel it at all. You feel really disconnected from the car. And then in terms of the car handling, I guess left and right turns I think is quite good, right? It pretty much, because it's such a small wheelbase, it's almost like a point and shoot. Like, you turn somewhere, it will go, and it behaves instantly. The one thing that I did notice though, and again, remember, this is supposed to be like a small SUV slash hatchback. So when you are on, I guess, a bit of the bumpier or the wavier roads, you definitely feel it in this car, because it absorbs it like no tomorrow. So just like that just then, you know, I wasn't even exaggerating. Like, that little bump, it didn't even look like a big bump on the ground, and I kind of started waving. So that's just something to take into account. Like, if you do a lot of country driving on rough roads, your body probably might go waving around, but it doesn't hurt, which is a good thing. So that's that. Alright, let's talk efficiency of this car. So my personal view, being an all-wheel drive car, is it's definitely on the thirstier side. Now, I haven't been planting my foot like no tomorrow. I have been driving crazy, but it's averaging roughly 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So I feel like that's quite thirsty actually for a car of this size. Remember, 4.4 meters, right? My Model Y is 4.7 meters. And, you know, in times driving like this, you do, whilst it's constant driving, you're not doing regen braking as much. Like, this is somewhat similar, if not more, in some instances than my Model Y performance. So in a smaller car, I think it's on the high, definitely on the higher end. Now, let's talk about some things I like and some things I don't like after spending a week in this car. So let's start off with the things that I really do like about this car. I've grown to like the steering wheel and how it feels. I feel like it's really good. I like the acceleration. Now, we did test, I didn't record unfortunately, the 0 to 100 for this car, and 0 to 100 I got, not taking into account the 1 foot rollout like what Tesla does, I managed to get 4.4 seconds out of this car. Which means that if you did subtract the 1 foot rollout, it'd be in the vicinity of 4 seconds. Now, ZEEKR have said this is a 3.8 second car, so, you know, again, depending on the road and the road type, the weather, you know, there's so many things to take into account when you're talking about measuring 0 to 100 times. But from my perspective, in a average looking day similar to today, I managed to get 4.4 seconds to 100 twice, exactly 4.4 flat. So yeah, I love the acceleration. I've grown to like the steering wheel, and I think just in general, being able to drive a small car, a fast small car, is something that I guess I've really enjoyed. Alright, so I've spoken about things I like about the car. Let's talk about things I don't like about the car. There's a couple of things. So I've actually got a list here, so let me read it through. And I just want to preface to say that this is me being quite picky, and some of these things could be fixed with a software update. So some things can't, some things can. Right, so let's go. So first things first, the screen sits too low. So what do I mean by that? Let me flip the camera around. So I am going to position this camera to my head level right here. So that's what I see when I drive. That's what I see when I look all the way left. and that's what I see when I look all the way right. So remember, this car being the all-wheel drive spec, you can see it flashing there, and I think it'll show up on the video right there where my finger is. That's where the heads-up display is. Perfect positioning, right? So then you'd think, you look over here, and what do you see? You see Yamaha. And then you look down, what do you see? You see the screen. And so my feedback is, that screen's too low. I would rather not see Yamaha and have the screen a bit higher, because see, if I put my head, so remember, I'll bring it back to this level here, that's my head height. If you look over here, you've got, hopefully that comes through, that much of space to move the screen up, so that you can bring the screen at eye level, or almost eye level, horizontally along here, so that when you're looking at the heads-up display, or you're looking out, you just have to kind of turn your head a little bit, and you can see the screen if it was up here. So that's the first thing that I'm not too fond of. Is it a must-have in order to say that I would buy this car? No, it's not. But it's just a call out that from a design side of things, you do have to look a bit further down than what I would have liked. And I'm comparing that mainly to our Tesla, because usually that sits quite high to somewhere like that as well. So the next bit of feedback I have is about the indicators. The long story short is, it doesn't always turn on the camera whenever you indicate. And then when it does turn on, it shows the 360 mode, which for me, I found odd. And that's just based on my experience with driving cars. You guys may love it potentially. Let me know in the comments below. But from my perspective, I would have liked to see the camera as an example, because there is cameras on the side, right? Point back to see, and when I merge lanes, I would have liked to see a side camera pop up, so I can clearly see, not just rely on the mirror notification that there's a car close by. I'd like to see on camera what's behind me, so I can avoid merging into them if I've missed it out for whatever the reasons are. So going to pause the video here. I'm going to do an overlay to show you guys on example what I mean by that. And also, on the topic of the screen, I don't like the auto dimming function. It actually works really poorly. It doesn't look so bad now, but there are times, and it's really random when it happens, where, if I swipe down to show you guys, this display here, it should always be really, really bright. But if you put on auto, you can see that being really, really bright, even now, it's slightly starting to show. If there's sun shining here, I would expect that to be extremely bright. So I'd expect it like this. Whereas some of the times when it's in auto, it honestly, even when you're driving in sunlight, it's literally that dark. And so it may not potentially show on camera as well, but if I show you how bright it is outside here now, if you're looking down, there will be times you're driving like that. And think about it when you're reversing. It doesn't really work all that great. So I would have liked to see that if it's really bright, that also makes it really bright. If it's dim, then that actually dims it a little bit more, as opposed to kind of doing the opposite. However, the good side of things is you do have a workaround. All you need to do is turn off the auto dimming, and you just leave it on your maximum brightness and then be done with it. And if it's too bright at night, then just swipe down and then just dim it there, and you still have the same outcome. So it's not the end of the world for that. Alright, next we have the lag on acceleration. So I think I've covered that enough so you guys understand. I just don't like it. I think the lag could definitely be improved, and if they can improve it to have that reaction time in sports mode, they should be able to improve it for your normal acceleration and also your comfort acceleration as well. Alright, next thing I don't like is the fact that every single time you drive, the mode or the drive mode is reset. So let me flip the camera around. So hopefully you can see that. So at the moment, acceleration on standard, one pedal drive is on standstill. If I hit sport, obviously it disables the standstill function, so the car doesn't come to a complete stop, which is another thing I don't like as well. Why does it do that? But Once you leave the car, you lock the car, you come back, it actually reverts back to standard mode. So why does that happen? I don't know. I'd really love to know. And so when you go standard, you've got the standstill mode, so the car comes to a complete stop. I would have liked it if I keep on sports mode, it stays on sports mode, and I would like them to introduce standstill function, which means you have full one pedal driving, not that it creeps, because creep actually should not be one pedal driving. Creep means the car still moves, so that's technically not right, because if it doesn't come to a stop, you need to use the brakes, which means it's not one pedal. Oh, and the other thing I didn't like was the brake pedal design is actually, it bends to the left, so it's really a first world problem, but it's just more about comfort. When I rest my foot on the pedal, where traditionally in a manual car you would have had where the clutch is. And yeah, I'll put a video overlay just to explain it, but I just feel like when I try to move my feet, I always hit the brake pedal. So yeah, that's just another thing to add to the list of things I unfortunately don't like about this car. And the last thing in the dislike sections, or not so like, is the car is actually, since I've gone on the more spirited drives, is a little bit wavy. Now, some people may actually like that, some people may not. I'll park it in the middle bucket. I somewhat like, I somewhat don't like it. Now, the good side of things is that when you are going over any bumps, you don't feel it. Like, being 20-inch wheels, this car absorbs bumps so well. Like, it's a really good drive. But when you are on, I guess, highways or the roads that I've been coming on as an example today, you do notice that, you do go up and down a fair bit. And if you need to, rewind back to the video, or I'll see potentially if I can find some of the snippets, and I'll put it as an overlay on so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But basically, whilst there isn't as much body roll left and right, the car does go a bit up and down as you go. So it's a bit wavy in that regard. Alright, feel like it's time to wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully everything I've spoken about in here was insightful to you guys. I hope it was interesting. I hope you guys learned something, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything you feel about this car, whether you like it, whether you don't, if you've test driven one, do you own one? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Look, after a week of driving this car, I personally think that I can see the fascination. I can definitely see why people are so interested in this brand. I mean, first of all, they definitely have such a unique design and approach to all of their vehicles, right? Like, none of the vehicles that you've seen look like anything else you've seen before. They're not copying anyone else's styling. They have their own unique styling. It's defined. It's really, really nice. So I can see why people have their eyes all on this company. And, the tech that it offers for the package, I think it's a pretty well built car. It's a solid build. They've got cool, funky features, technology, you name it. And, it's backed by a big company, right? At the end of the day, it's a Geely company. So multi-million, billion-dollar company. So I can definitely see why people want something bigger than this. I'm on the ZEEKR owners Facebook groups as well, and there's plenty of people hanging out for the ZEEKR X, which, when I recorded that video in Hong Kong, you guys loved, had thousands of views, so thank you very much for that too. But that's definitely a car to look for, because for me personally, even though I said earlier on that I would buy this car if I was looking for this sized car, the realistic truth is, in my current situation, based on the age of my kids and between my whole family and what we do, this car is probably not big enough, and I probably want a bigger car. And so ZEEKR X is probably the one that I'd be keen to check out when the time comes, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are still really keen on that too. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say. Thanks again so much. If you guys have watched the entire thing, make sure you give the video a like, subscribe for more content. A big thank you also to my channel members. I love you guys. You guys are what I guess supports the channel, keeps me going. And if you're not a supporter, give a like. It's free. Please do it. It's going to help my channel as well. And yeah, if you've got any questions, drop in the comment box below. Be more than happy to answer it, talk through whatever it is. And yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks guys. We'll see you soon for more content.